Hi, my name is Sara Howard, and this is for Ethics 240 with Mr. Cots. In this video, I will review about the book we had to read, Second Chances by Chuck Gallagher. And in this video, I will be talking about what I believe the main point is, how it affected me and my future, and how it has changed me overall. So I believe the main point in this story is that every decision has a consequence, whether the decision or consequence is bad. I believe that even though you might make a bad decision, that doesn't mean it has to be a bad consequence. From that consequence, whether it be good or bad, you can make it into a positive. That you can make the most out of any situation if you put your mind to it, whether it be good or bad. Chuck, in the story, makes a bad decision from stealing from his clients, and that ultimately leads him to going into prison because he committed a felony. But he did it for reasons he thought was right, because if he wouldn't have stolen from his clients, then more than likely he wouldn't have been able to pay for the bills and for his wife and his child to live in the house. They would be homeless at that point. And he just thought, what is the lesser of two evils? And obviously he picked stealing from his clients, and although most of us would say that's a crime not even comparable to being homeless, but if you're stuck in that situation, what would you choose? And I just feel like from these consequences, he learned how to better himself. This applies to me because I'm a teenager and we make a lot of mistakes, but I also feel like it's the way we're raised, because as a child, when you make a bad decision, you're put in timeout and you're made to sit and think about what you did, and then you're supposed to come back and they ask you if you learned your lesson and you say yes, and then you go play again. And it's like the same concept of prison. You sit there and think about what you did and hope that your view on your decision has changed and that you know it's wrong, but that's not the case. Of course, for Chuck it is, because he comes out as a better person, but that's not always the case. And I feel like it applies to my future, because right now we're making really hard life decisions about where we want to go to college or what we want to do, but they're not the easiest and they're not the same as when you were a child. And I just feel like when you get older, there are harder consequences for what you have done. But I also feel like there's a lot of more room to decide what happens after those consequences that you don't get as a child. You're just meant to learn them and move on. And I just feel like Chuck goes beyond that and shows people that there's much more to just the consequence. There's the after effects. And this changed me because it makes me see things differently. Not only to take things for granted, because I feel like I experienced prison and all of these emotions and experiences with him, but I feel like the 23 steps at the end also impact us the most, because they're the simple things like choices and change and happiness and pain and transformation and life and purpose and self-improvement and spiritual learning and understanding are just to name a few. But I feel like through this book we feel these things and we experience them with him, because he's telling us everything he's had to go through, and we can all connect because we've made these mistakes. But at the same time, it's like a completely different perspective, because he's actually having to face a federal punishment. And while we just get a slap on the wrist or just a simple consequence, he's facing a huge one. And I feel like it just puts everything in perspective. So yeah, thanks.